off. I just put the oil squirters in because they're hard to put in once you get anything else in here. So the idea behind the main bearings and everything, so you would measure pretty as straight across as you can with the mic or a micrometer or like a bore gauge. You take that measurement and you measure the thickness of your main bearing, and then you subtract that from that measurement. You also take the measurement of the main journal that's going to be on that. Well, the journal will be right there, so it'll be this one, and you measure that straight across, and then you just you see what the difference is, and pretty much that will give you how much space is in between your bearings. It should be in the thousandths, I believe, but yeah, and as long as that's within the spec that Honda says, then you're good to go. So the clearance between the main bearing and the journal, after you do your calculations, it should only be like 0.0015 to 0.002, and that's, if it's in that limit, then you know you're good to go. If it's tighter than that or looser than that, then you need to get different bearings. So your thrust washers, they also have a clearance. They keep your crankshaft from moving side to side. They ride on these smooth parts right here next to the journal, and they're right on each side of this main right here. So you get those to stick. You put assembly lube on each side of that, and you stick those on there, and then once you have all your rod bearings in there in the bottom right there, you can drop the crankshaft in, then you check the side-to-side play that the crankshaft has, and that's how you know if these are tight or loose. So there's a spec for that too. I'll try to include it in here somewhere. Once you have the thrust washers, the main bearings in there, everything really coated with assembly lube, coated every main with a good amount of assembly lube. You don't want the motor to start up dry, especially if it sits for a while before you throw it in. You want to make sure it gets a good amount of assembly lube on there, so the motor never starts up dry. So you don't want to damage anything right when you put a fresh motor together. Take a brake, clean the journals, make sure they're all clean on this crankshaft, and then I'm going to drop the crank in. So we push the rings in the board. You try to push it in pretty square. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little end gap right there. On 81 millimeter, I know the top ring for stock is supposed to be around like 0.014. So 0.014 inches. So gonna measure that, make sure it's 0.014. That's the top ring, number one ring. Second ring is the they feel like they're like more like they're made of like something like cast iron. They feel like that. It's a cast ring. The top is like a ductile iron ring. The second ring needs to have like 0.002 more clearance at minimum. So if the top's 14, the second should at least be 16. And then the oil expander, which is the squiggly or the brass looking squiggly things right here, they don't need any clearance. So that's just the expander, the rail that keeps the oil rings right here, these little black rings, separated. And the minimum clearance is 0.015 on the actual oil rings, that the ones that retain the oil against the cylinder wall. So as long as they're bigger than 0.015, then you're fine. It's kind of hard to see, but .014 fits in there perfect. It's like a slight drag, fits in there great. All of them are really, really close to spec. So you keep each ring with the cylinder you did it in to make sure, because one might be slightly bigger, slightly smaller, just to make sure that the gap stays the same size. So you keep number 1 with number 1 and number 4 with number 4. So on to the second ring. So this the second ring, the ductile iron ring. It needs to be anywhere bigger than a .016, like so around .01617. These are slightly large, .018, but it's not a problem. They're all right at pretty snug on the .018 side, so it's still within spec. So that'll be fine. And next we just do the oil rings. As long as the outer rings for the oil rings are .015 or bigger, we can go to the next step and put the rings on the pistons and start dropping them into the cylinder. Got one of the oil control rings in there. I'm gonna make sure it's at least .015, or that the filler gauge can fit in between there. It's actually like right at .016, so we're good to go. I'm not gonna film doing all 8 of them because there's 2 for each piston. That's a little time consuming, but on to the next step, the rings on the piston. I can't draw a perfect circle, but it's the intake side of the piston, exhaust side of the piston. This is how I clock the piston ring. So the intake side of the piston, so I put the top ring, which is number 1, would go right about there. Second ring would go other side, about the same spot on the top, and the lower oil rail would go right here. The upper would go somewhere about there, and then the spacer SP right there goes right in the middle of those 2. So I'm gonna get these rings on these pistons and pop them in the bore. So yeah, we got all the rod bearings on the rods and on the rod caps. Basically same thing as the main bearings. There's a specific clearance for it. As long as it's within that clearance, you can run it. Gonna go ahead and pop the cylinder 1 piston in. I already have it in the ring compressor here. Just gotta tap it down into the bore, so I'm gonna get that done. Cylinder 1 piston and rod in. Just gotta flip it and put the rod cap, but I number all the rod caps and everything, so I can do all of them at one time and flip the block and do all the caps at one time without getting them mixed up. So on to the next ones. So next step, I got all the pistons and the rods in. Just hand tight for the nuts on the rod, but these nuts right here on the rod go to 33 foot-pounds. And after I get all those tightened down, I'm gonna put the girdle on, and the center ones with the aluminum cap go to 49, and the outside main caps go to 56. So yeah, that's the next step. And then after that, just gonna put the rear main seal and oil pump on and put the oil pan on there. Got the main caps all torqued on there. Now I just put the windows tray on. Pretty simple, just tins and everything, and the oil pickup with the tins. I don't know if I got the oil pump on there and the rear main seal. It's time to put the oil pan on, and the bottom block will be ready to go. Short block is ready to go. Everything's rotating properly, nice and easy. Ready for pickup. YouTube, at this point, customer came and picked up the motor, and then he hit me up a few weeks later and said he wanted me to come put the head on and everything for him. So we shot out to his city and went and assembled the rest of the motor for him, and this is how it went. So
what up, YouTube? It's Bree taking over the channel. We out here in Manteca. Jay Hill is working on a motor for a client. He's putting the head onto the block and then probably transmission as well, so it could get ready to get dropped into the car. I believe the car is either an ITR or ITR Rep. Very nice. Mind you, we is out in the boonies. We in the nice area. Client has a lake in their backyard. I won't show the actual house, but I'll show you the cars and all that good stuff. And Hilla working on the stuff. Yeah, let me get a little view though of the lake. Hold on, see if we can get a little view. I know y'all see the houses though. We got boats on the lake and everything. Here's the lake. Dirty window. Sorry y'all. But yeah, stay tuned.
Because this can.
Oh, because they took out the studs, some of the studs on the bottom, messed up the threads, so I couldn't put them back. I wasn't gonna mess it up. Tell me when to go.
Go.
Tell me when to go.
Go.
Oh yeah, so we just closed out this this motor build for this ITR. This is probably gonna be the second video on it. We got the first one I'm gonna put up before this video. It's just assembling the bottom block. Now we're out at homie's house doing the engine assembly. We're waiting for a few more parts, and we're gonna drop it in the Type R, and it's gonna be rocking again.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we out of here, YouTube. Let's go.